Hey, I am live from Chicago today. We are in a 60 by 120 tent here getting set up for a gala that we have tonight where we're going to welcome a couple hundred of our closest friends from Chicago. Super exciting. I'm with the team. There are 5 of us from Utopia, and I'm feeling really joyful today. And I just wanted to share that because that is the point of these live streams. I feel, the reason why I started doing these is because I want to talk inspiration into friends, family members, colleagues, partners. And I felt that at first I was a little timid in just putting my life and myself out there, because I don't like talking about myself. It feels kind of awkward. But I got over that very quickly because I know that with what I've learned through investing, what I've invested in personal and professional development and being around multimillionaires and billionaires, and the money doesn't matter. What the mindset is really what it's sort of helped me adopt is, being around these incredibly successful influencers and business leaders. There's a reason why they became successful. And so I just want to share that with people in hopes that I can inspire one person. And so yesterday on the drive to Chicago, I was listening to a dear friend of mine, Christopher Lochhead, who Google him if you're unfamiliar with who Christopher Lochhead is. But he has a podcast called Follow Your Different. He's been the #1 Apple podcaster in the world. I think he was for 2 or 3 months running. And we have the pleasure and the privilege of sharing a couple of hours with Christopher Lochhead in a few weeks. And so I was listening to a podcast with him and Bix Bixen, who is like the Tony Robbins of Canada. And it was super inspirational. And so I wrote down a bunch of notes, and I just want to throw those out there today because I hope it serves one person, and I know it will. And perhaps you go back and, I'm live streaming. I'm going to try and make this one really short today because we have a huge setup ahead of us here in Chicago. But I wanted to get this message out there nonetheless because I know it can serve you, perhaps, depending on where you are in your life. And I'm sure it can serve more than just one individual. So with that being said, I'm going to dive into what Christopher Lochhead and Bix Bixen were talking about yesterday. And I also sourced a lot of sort of this inspiration that I'm feeling today from a dear friend of mine. His name's Hal Elrod. If you're familiar with the Miracle Morning, he's been my life coach in business. I've been a protege under him for a number of years now, just following him and his journey. And the way that he's changed my life through his mindset and his belief system, and through me adopting what he calls the Miracle Morning, which is a series of different practices in the morning that sort of get you grounded in purpose and joy. And he also had a podcast yesterday where he talked about happiness and how to find true joy and happiness in life. And this is a quote from Hal, and it's: "Our ability to serve and go above and beyond the call of duty exists now more than ever. Be a resource for others when everyone else feels like they're dealing with demands." I want to repeat that. Our ability to serve and go above and beyond the call of duty exists now more than ever. It's time to be a resource for others when everyone else feels like they're dealing with constant demands. And what I invite you to reflect on today is this, and this is my reflection for the day as well. This is how I started my morning, my journaling, my verbal affirmations today is: when people feel like the demands on their lives are more intense and more intensive than the resources that we have as humans to access, the wisdom to pull from those demands, we get into a place of reactivity, stress, and self-doubt. So when demands exceed resources, we go into a place that we call lizard brain. And it's because the world and demands around us are evolving faster than our ability as humans to adapt and to change and to rise to meet those demands. And so I think a lot of us over the last 12, 13, 14 months with the pandemic have gone into that place of trying to figure out how do we get self-actualized? Like, if you remember the book, Viktor Frankl talks about the 5 human needs, and one of those is love and acceptance, but the highest need is self-actualization, which is feeling like our worth is validated in the world and that we feel significant through the work that we're doing because it's meaningful and impactful and we're leaving a legacy and making a difference. And so the way that I source, the way that I get out of my lizard brain and get into a space of creativity and curiosity and love and joy and share that with others is I'm a light for other people. And what I mean by that is, like, think about the more that we can be a resource for others. In other words, creating an alignment of strengths through your energy and positivity within your network, your friends, your family, your colleagues, their weaknesses will become irrelevant because they're embraced and enveloped by your positivity and your joy and your happiness and what you're sharing and how you're being. You're exuberant, right? You're beaming, and you are a source of light and confidence for other people around you. And so it sort of melts away these weaknesses. And to me, that's really been the way that I've sort of worked my way through the pandemic, is found little ways in life that I can have little victories every single day, whether that's buying the coffee for the person behind me at Starbucks, or holding the door for an old lady, or reaching out to a mentor or a friend and telling them how incredibly grateful that I am to have them in my life, because their journey is, as a human, is amazing. And that I'm just incredibly grateful and fulfilled to have them as a part of my journey. And so I find little ways like that throughout the day to bring joy to other people, and that in turn brings joy to me. It fills my cup. There are a couple of other things that I want to share in regards to joy. And what I would invite you to consider if you're watching this today is, think about times when you felt an incredible amount of joy. Who were you with? Why were you feeling that way? And how did you view the world differently, coming from a lens of gratitude and happiness, opposed to when you're in a place of self-doubt and reactivity? What's interesting about, joy is it's all around us. Joy is abundant. Like, think about asking a fish where water is. And this was a quote from Hal's podcast the other day that I was listening to. And he referenced, like, fish, the water's all around them. Joy is all around us as well. We just have to consciously choose to access it every single day. And it's much easier to be in a place of negativity and reactivity than it is to be in a place of joy, because it's easy to say, I don't have enough, or, these people are more successful than me, or they have a bigger house, or they have an ATV, or they have a nicer car, or they have these other, these material things. And I think as humans, when we're born, we don't feel the need to have all of those things, right? To feel significant. We're just happy. We're just genuinely happy when we're born. And then the world, because the model that the world forces upon us as human beings as we grow older is that we have to have things and make money and have and be validated through work and purpose and houses and cars and all these other things to actually feel self-actualized. And that's just not true. It's just not true. Because we always, if we do that, right, if we go to that place, we're always going to feel like it's never enough, no matter where you are. Because there is no pinnacle of, the mountaintop that signifies, oh my God, I've made it. I no longer need to search because I'm here. That's just, it's not true. So we have to find ways to tap into that joy muscle every single day. So again, thinking about asking a fish where the water is. That's silly because water is all around them. Hi, Jordy. Jordy's running wires, SDI wires, for the projectors and the TVs for tonight's event. If you're just checking in, I'm in Chicago. We're in a 60 by 120 tent in a parking lot. We've got 300 of our closest friends joining us tonight for a gala. This is incredible. I'm just very excited that we are, getting back to some, semblance of normalcy, rather. So the first thing I would invite you to consider, and by the way, this is really for me too, like not to sound self-serving, but I love going back and watching these because when I get when I wake up and I'm in a day where I know, oh shit, today's not going to be a good day. I'm going to go down the rabbit or the rabbit hole or the spiral, the downward spiral of just negative energy, not feeling like I'm enough, not feeling like I'm connecting, not making sales, not doing what I need to be doing to perpetuate my journey. I go back and I like reference these videos that I record. So as much as these are for you to sort of share my inspiration, they're also for me to go back and reference and say, Joey, get out of your head and get into your heart and tap into your joy today, tap into your joy muscle today. And I'm not trying to be like foo-foo or, I can understand that perhaps if you're not into, if you haven't dabbled in personal and professional development, some of this stuff sort of sounds like, woo-woo to you. But to me, it's incredible because it's helped me scale our business and my life to a level that I never even thought were possible. And so think about, times that you felt an incredible amount of joy. Who were you with? Why were you feeling that way? How did you view the world differently? And then number two is, when are you at your best? What are your superpowers? And how can you do more of those? How can you practice your superpowers more frequently, more often? What were you experiencing when you were feeling that immense amount of love for yourself? Get into a space of self-love, self-compassion, and remember who you were with, why you were feeling that way. I know for me, when I'm pouring love into others and listening and asking great questions and reflecting on them, opposed to making the conversation about me and my journey and my life and my experiences, that brings me an incredible amount of joy. And I don't know. I feel amazing being able to pour love and light into other people. And then number three, for me anyway, like these different practices of me being able to find joy is, one, thinking about times I felt an incredible amount of joy. Who was I with? Why was I feeling that way? How did I view the world differently? Number two is, when I'm at my best, who am I around? Just being present to like who's around me in the time where I'm feeling a sense of joy and gratitude and purpose. And number three is, when was a time that you really showed up for someone in a way that made you feel validated and that made that person feel significant? Tap into that, because that's incredibly important too. You can find out what I just said, when I have an opportunity to connect with friends and family members and just ask them questions about the things that are important to them, it makes me feel important. And that brings me joy. Last but not least is, when I see someone living outside of what I deem morally appropriate and positive, like example, operating from a negative energy state, they're narcissistic in the sense that they feel like they don't have to wait in line. So they cut a line, or they cut you off in traffic because they don't have to wait in traffic. They're above it, right? And like those type of people, I use that, or throwing trash out the window. I use that to drive and fuel my energy to be even more optimistic and positive on a day like that. Instead of looking at them and saying they suck, they don't deserve to live on this planet, they're treating it like, instead of having that model of the world and that mindset, I reframe it. And I'm like, I'm going to hold the door for the next person behind me. I'm going to be extra nice today and tip 25, 30, 40% to my waiter or my waitress when Steph and I go out to dinner tonight. I'm going to throw someone else's trash away. Like my wife and I started bringing trash bags along our walks with us when we take our puppy Chase for a walk, because we pick up, and it just makes us feel an immense amount of happiness. And, I also think about, I'm going to spend that much more time pouring my love into a friend or a family member or someone who really needs me that day. Because I know that if I do that, that just encourages me to be the best person that I can possibly be on this planet. So with that being said, I'm going to sign off for today. Really quickly, I'll just show you this tent that we're in. It's a 60 by 120 tent. I'm with the Utopia crew. I got my swag on today. We're in Chicago producing an incredible gala tonight for 300 of our closest friends. I'm feeling gratified. I'm feeling fulfilled and grateful and happy, and I hope you are too. Enjoy your weekend. Happy Friday. Please like, comment, or share. Let me know if this is like resonating with you, if you feel the same way that I feel, that sometimes it's hard, gosh, I have bags under my eyes. I had a couple glasses of wine last night, and I'm like, holy cow, you can really see that come through. And I'm getting old. Anyway, I hope that this resonated with you, that at least one of these thoughts of my brain dump today gave you an idea of what you can do in your life to feel more happiness, more fulfilled, more grateful, more joy, more love, not just for the people around you, but for yourself, because that is what's really important. Love y'all. Have a kick-ass weekend, and I'll see you next Friday at 11 a.m.